Cool.
Hello everyone. So hopefully we are on Facebook now, and I'm delighted to be joined by permaculture illustrator Brenna Quinlan, all the way in Australia in the evening over there. We're Monday morning here. Welcome, Brenna.
Hey everybody, we got the time difference right.
That was the first challenge of the morning. We did it. We're here in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome to everyone on Facebook or those watching the recording later. We thought we'd go live. We're in the final few days of the Kickstarter, which is quite a moment in time, quite a shift in what's happening this week. And this is the first of the lives in this moment, this beauty and completion. Actually, I feel this is the principle of the week for me, is beauty and completion. And yeah, so Brenna, do you want to share a little bit about your work for those of the people watching that maybe don't know, and just share your amazing illustration work?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Looby. A few years ago, I decided to take a step back from what had been a path of over a decade of learning to draw as well as I could, mainly portraiture and still life, with the goal to be hung in the finest galleries and to sell work for lots of money. And I just heard about climate change and learned about permaculture and started seeing people who were actually doing great things to get this movement really rolling, to make the world a better place and improve on some of the big issues of our time. And I thought, wow, I want to be part of that. So I switched my focus from realism to activism. And I changed from being a fine artist to being an illustrator. And illustration's really art with a message. So, or where the message comes at the forefront, and the skill is still there, but it's less obvious. Um, so I investigate all sorts of themes and topics and quotes and stuff that I find really interesting and motivating and important, and I put it into an image and share it with the world. And sometimes other people find it interesting and motivating and important as well, which is always quite interesting.
Well, I say lots of people actually find them really amazing and interesting and motivating, and just the way it's like you connect the visuals and the words are just amazing. So yeah, big it up to you for following your passion and for putting something really useful out into the world. And I'm just, yeah, really excited to be talking to you where I'm at this edge of I'm very used to putting useful words out into the world, over after a decade of putting books out into the world. But this is like the first time I've put out the visuals to go with the words, and that's yeah, it feels slightly nerve-wracking as well
Yeah.
as exciting. And I know, like, art is one of those things that people often have a blockage about or wounding about. It's like one of those things of I can't sing, or I can't do maths, or I can't draw is another limiting belief that a lot of us inherit through our cultural conditioning or through specific incidences. Yeah, I wonder if you've got any thoughts about that, about how, why is it that we have so much negative cultural conditioning about art, and how do we overcome that?
Yeah, it's when I started on my permaculture journey about 10 years ago. It's actually did my permaculture design course over in Chile in Spanish, and then started teaching permaculture like sort of weekends and weeks at different permaculture sites. And one of the things that I was doing focused a lot on natural construction in South American permaculture. And we were showing how to use reclaimed tiles to make mosaics. And there was one guy called Diego who came, and he didn't mosaic on the first day and he didn't participate on the second day. But by the third day, he came along and said he would like to try it out. And he was there for about 6 hours, just in his own little zone, putting the tiles in their place, making a little image in a corner of this huge group mosaic. And that evening he came to me and started crying, and he said, I've always told myself that I was a creative, and I haven't felt that pure joy in creative expression since I was so young, and I'm so happy that I found it again. And I was like, wow, that's just mosaics. I mean, who would have thought that it could be so magical? So, you know, we'll hear one comment, maybe at school, like, oh, that's not as good as your friend's work, or why can't you be better at coloring inside the lines, or that doesn't really look like a tiger, does it? And these things kind of chip away at us over time. Maybe we throw ourselves into art, and we go through university or art school and get criticism after criticism until eventually we give up. So it can be really hard to feel strong enough in yourself to know that that side of you is worth expressing. And a lot of people, I mean, we all draw as children, but not everybody draws as an adult. We all sing, we all dance as children, and not everybody expresses themselves that way as an adult either. So it's a very powerful thing. I mean, you were saying you feel a bit nervous having your words illustrated now. Yeah, I understand that. I think that's a totally normal reaction.
Yeah, it is. It's that sort of feeling of like, oh, okay, will people be judging it? And like, you know, how perfect do I go with the mandalas? Do I need to be really like specific, you know, like how symmetrical, you know, do I need to be, and what colors do I use? And yeah, it's all kind of woven into that sort of that whole thing of finding our voice in the world, and whether it's finding our voice in words or in pictures or in song or in speeches or in teaching, it's all takes courage to do that. And I know that you've managed to, and I think it's the same with me, that connection between our motivation and our purpose of like, well, you know, how I'm doing this because I care for the earth. I'm doing this because I care for people. I'm doing this because I feel that what I've got to offer could help someone. You know, it could help that person with the mosaic. It could help someone that just actually feels like, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could doodle, or and yeah, this is it was interesting. Last night I was kind of looking at my book, Seven Ways to Think Differently, and the shifts in thinking about what was you know, about where I am with the card deck and with the crowdfunder, and where I was in line with the kind of regenerative thinking, and where I might be not in line with that in the kind of mainstream paradigm. And one of the shifts in thinking that I had, which is this is this is the first time my wall's been on display, so I'm enjoying having all the cards and being able to find just the right card at the right time.
It's like looking at a chocolate box.
Yeah, I'll let you pick one in
Intriguing.
a minute. Brenna, you can pick one, but just soon we'll get moved to that. But this one was the From Thinking to Doing, and it's like the leapfrog, which is also great for emergence of the, you know, who would guess that you know, frog spawn goes to tadpole goes to frog. It's, you know, it's a very non-linear process. And I was thinking about this shift in thinking of from thinking to doing, which is from consumer to producer. And this very much what David Holmgren, co-originator of permaculture, says is we need to move from passive consumer to active producer, and I think that's something which really struck me of like, okay, well actually, this card deck is great, and I'm really I know that lots of people will enjoy using it, and also I want to kind of give people tools to to be active within that process for themselves, and to I've got a Cultural Emergence colouring book, and I'll be releasing some of these today that people can go and colour in their own process. So we've got trust the process here, and so I've been playing with this symbol here of for a symbol for emergence, for showing these possibilities. So this is like the double symbol, this and this is the showing like the possibilities and the unfurling and the opening. And so I wanted to show you, and maybe show everyone else, and you can play along with me of doing that symbol, which is just a really nice like curvy spiral going up and then down again and coming back in. So this is the symbol of emergence here. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And so there you have something to colour in and enjoy, and get the visual connection with emergence, and this idea of something arising and flowing and opening and going in directions. And what do you see, Brenna, with that symbol? Here's a closer up one.
There's something about your style that just makes me want to start drawing. It's so free and beautiful, and that shape is so organic that to actually draw it, it feels nice to draw. It feels nice to look at. I want to color it in. I want to engage with it. It's a very kind of connected image. It's really powerful. Yeah, you've created something beautiful there.
Thank you. Thank you. This one here I picked is emergence happens in relationship. Relationships create life, identify patterns, cycles, and potentials of your relationships, add fertility to the soil of your relationships. And it's got the you'll know from the color theory of these two colors have actually made this purple here. Yeah, and I mean, I enjoy that people see lots of different things in that symbol as well. So it's not totally like directive and like this is what it means. It can mean lots of the different things to different people. Would you like
to ask you an art question?
Yes, please.
Oh, a quick art question, and then I'd love to pick a card. Are you mostly working in pencil, or are you using watercolor? What's your medium?
I use these amazing pencils here, which are called like ink tents, and so they're pencils, but you can use them like watercolors, but they're kind of quite inky, quite deep. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. And then I've got different families of cards, so there will be some more watercolors and colors to differentiate between the families. So that's another layer that's evolving and emerging. But yeah, do you want to ask? So I've been asking people over the last month to pick a card, and I've had them in my hand, and I've asked them to ask me a question, and then I've picked for them, and it's it always comes up with something interesting. But you have the joy of it almost being like a live room where you can see all the cards and you can actually pick for yourself. So I'll stand out the way and you can direct me to what you say. Oh, what's your question? Let's ask your question first.
Okay, my question that I would like to know from the cards is, how can we motivate people to act? How can we help people to feel motivated?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great
And
question. Yeah.
I ask myself every day.
Um,
Oh, there's a few that I'm being drawn to, but I can't go
you can
past that
have
one.
more.
It's in the top.
You can have more than one.
I can, yes. Okay, first one, it's in the top, in the middle, and it's like a green blue spiral.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yep.
I was particularly pleased with the colours of this one. Do you want to pick another one as well?
Yeah, it's my right, so I think it'd be your left where the blue ones are,
Yeah.
the side of the blue, right on the side, and it's halfway down, and it's kind of an orange yellowy flower with, yep, that one. Yep.
Great. Okay. So let's go for these two and let's see. Oh, okay. This one's so new that it hasn't got writing on the back yet, but I know what it is, so I'll find.
That means you can make it up. It's a wild card, yeah.
Well, except I do know what it is. I don't want to be too
Okay.
about this, Brenna. Come on. So this one, I guess we haven't actually introduced me to your audience yet, who will be watching on Facebook. But yeah,
Millions of them at some stage.
at some stage, exactly, because we're so motivated to everyone that they'll all be flooding in. But anyways, yeah. So this is my from Cultural Emergence, and then this is my book, Cultural Emergence, and this is the card deck that I'm currently making for the books that we're doing a crowdfunder for at the moment. So I sometimes don't state the obvious.
Well, and it's such a great book. We got sent one. Charlie got sent one about, when did it come out? A year ago? Thereabouts, a year and a half?
End of 2020. So yeah, 2 years actually. So it's, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're in the time
Yeah,
warp, time warp time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so this book is this card is Discover Abundance. Gratitude is a potent path of discovery. Follow curiosity and discover many ways of knowing. And then this one you chose was peacemaking. Begin with taking responsibility for your own personal peace. From here, be aware of the impact of our words and energies on one another, and become familiar with the felt sense of peace in your body. Peacemaking also extends to awareness of how past experience, ours and or ancestral, affect our now.
Wow. Okay. So can we just unpack that? The question was, how do we help people feel motivated? And they both so beautifully gave, this is like, there's all this talk about Web3, and we're always, the joke is permaculture is Web4. You go outside and there's just mycelium and people networks. This is like it's like the Web4 version of ChatGPT. It's like, it's got the answer. The cards know.
Cards know.
So we heard the first one was like, what was it? Lead by example. What was that middle phrase that you
said? This one was discover abundance, and it was gratitude is a potent path of discovery. Follow curiosity and discover many ways of knowing. And I think this idea of that question of how do we motivate people, and this invitation for people to follow their curiosity is a profound invitation, isn't it?
And I think of the people in my life who are most inspiring to me, and they are following their curiosity they have abundant gardens, abundant lives, they have abundant time for others, they have abundance in the non-monetary economy. You know, they're living a way that is fun, and that makes me want to get on board. Yeah, great.
Yeah, totally.
That's like,
Oh, wait.
I was going to say two things about how to motivate people. These were the two answers.
Oh, I'm losing you, Brenna. I don't know if it's my connection or yours. I lost you for a moment. I think you're back now.
I've done the phone on the windowsill trick, so we should be fine.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, you were sharing about the your friends who live in a different way, who just have this abundance of experiences and joy in their lives. And yeah, that's where you were when we lost you.
Yeah, I mean, no, like nobody wants to get on board with a movement that's not fun, and so people living this abundant life are the ones that, at the start of my journey into activism and everything that I do, they were the people, kind of like the beacons in the dark. I want to live a life like them. Even aside from the drawing down carbon and all the other great things they're doing, they're having a really good time.
Yeah, totally. It was for me. That was what got me engaged with permaculture, was the community and the fun that we had on my permaculture design course. Led me at the end of my permaculture design course to say, that was so much fun. Wouldn't it be fun if I became a permaculture teacher? You know, just in that
Yeah.
wild designing moment. And certainly that, yeah, that ability to engage. And I think, you know, through your art and through Charlie's music, that's like going straight in there with the fun and just you're like, yeah. And this was when I last year when I did the design for the cards, I called my design playful engagement, because that's really what I want, is for people to playfully engage with these cards and these concepts, and to just like be like, oh, I like that color, I like that shape or texture or pattern, and then they start understanding the concept. So it's going from the fun and the engaging and the color and that joy into then the concepts, which is exactly what you do with your art, except you manage to amazingly bring those things into one illustration, don't you? With the
Keeps
whereas
me busy.
yeah, mine you have to turn over. And then yeah, what was it? What came to you with the peacemaking card, which I've
But what did it mention? My take on that was sort of peace with ourselves, but also how we communicate with others. What was the last line that you read out?
It says, peacemaking also extends to awareness of how past experience, ours and ancestral, affect our now. So we move from the personal piece into awareness of the ripples and the impacts of our words, and then moving beyond that in terms of connecting with past.
Because it's a trap that you see people fall into, and we all fall into it at some stage. You're so passionate about an issue that when you're trying to communicate about that issue with somebody who thinks differently about that issue, you get a bit preachy and a bit dogmatic, and it's not fun anymore. And it's also just not effective communication. So chastising somebody for, you know, buying a coffee in a takeaway cup instead of bringing their own isn't the best way to motivate change in that person. And that's where I see that the power of having peace in ourselves. We can take a breath and say, look, even though it's not my choice, this is a long journey, these are small battles, we've really got, you know, the big picture in mind. I'm not going to cut my sister-in-law out of my life because they did one thing that I don't agree with, you know. It's so hard though when you're so invested in the ethics of what you do. So it's quite a profound point that card brings up.
Mm. Yeah, because we're all living within a cultural context. So there's been uh, behaviors have been totally normalized that are actually should be outlawed, but they've been so normalized, and it's like, and so like the channels are just there for us to follow, to go and buy food in plastic in the supermarket because we're hungry, because we're overworked and don't have time to make sandwiches at home, because we're, and we're just trying to balance paying the bills and looking after our kids and looking after the garden, and something has to give, and maybe it's the garden, maybe it's the coffee in the plastic mug, or whatever it is that we compromise on. And that's, all of us are making compromises every single day, every single moment. We're making compromises. We're talking to you like through computers, through internet, through Facebook, or through YouTube, or we're on, and there's compromises there. We can't not make compromises these days. So who's to say that my compromise is more worthy than your compromise, or your lack of compromise at any particular given moment?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So are all these cards like this, or did I happen to pick the best two?
Yeah, that's it. I'm really glad you picked those two, because all the rest are just nonsense. No, there are. Do you want another one? Just to prove that there are. This might be the best through it. See if you can get the next best one.
Let's go it's a yellow circular, like a sunshine in the corner there, top corner. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, this is really what I'm doing at the moment with the card deck. It's called is Come Into the Light. Look below the surface. Be bold. Listen to quiet voices, and bring your gifts into the light.
Mm.
Does that resonate for you with that same question?
Oh, deeply so. One of the things I find myself saying a lot to that question that people ask, what can I do? Where can I start? Is find what makes you come alive. You might be doing it already, or it might be that you haven't danced or drawn or sung since you were a child. Find that thing that really brings you true happiness and make that your activism. I mean, that's what you're doing so beautifully. That's what I've done. That's what Charlie does. And that helps it to be sustainable over the long haul, because we're in it for the long haul. So why not just tweak what we do slightly so that it's doing good for the world and for us at the same time? And that card just says it there, Looby. It's magic.
That's it. I think that's yeah, so beautiful what you've just said there. And I think I had this realization yesterday, actually, from this card here, which I then I had it. I did it again yesterday because I wanted to try out a new color, and I actually had this. I was just about to, when I was handing in all the stuff for my book, Cultural Emergence, and how hectic it is having all the pieces together. And there was just this one which was Discover Abundance, and I had this illustration which was like this treasure map or something, and I was just like, it just doesn't really feel right, this Discover Abundance. And then I do this one-sided paper, and I reuse the other side of the paper all the time, and it's kind of almost like the synchronicity of what happens on the other side I quite enjoy. And so it's all my school notes, my university notes, and lesson plans, and it's all a mixture. And then I was thinking this, and then I turn over, and it was notes from university, and it had this doodle on it, and I was just like, oh, that doodle is so much better than this little map I've done. And so I used this doodle, and then last night I was thinking, all these loads of different subjects that I did at school and I did at university, and I never did art beyond primary school, but I was always doodling every single lecture I was at, every single class I'm at, every single meeting I doodle. And I was just like, had this moment of like, oh my God, I've been doodling for like my whole life and I haven't realized. And I've never called myself an artist before, but I've been doodling my entire life. And it's just, yeah, so I had a light bulb moment with that.
When I switched from fine art to cartooning, I thought, oh, I've invented this new style and all these new characters. And then a couple years later, I went back to some of my old journals and all the characters were there. And I realized that they were even appearing from stuff I'd drawn as a teenager and as a child, and I'd completely forgotten. But there's this style, unbeknownst to me, that had existed in me ever since then. Same thing, doodling in every course notes of every topic I'd ever learned and every book I'd ever loved. I've captured all that obsessively, and a lot of the times with drawings. And I didn't even realize, because I was a fine artist, you know, I didn't do that sort of stuff, but it's come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah, oh brilliant, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and this is so with the card deck, there's also going to be a digital package, and people can just get the digital package as well, where they get black and white ones, so they can bring their own creativity into that, and they can create posters and, you know, use their own creativity, which is part of this becoming an active producer. So it's not just like get the card deck and you've just bought another thing. That it's like, no, you've got this card deck which you can use and be actively producing your own personal culture and the cultures around you through the using the cards, and then also bring in your own artistic skills and have fun and play with that with your children as well. So that's the exciting thing that I'm bringing in. And I had this, I the comment I'm getting most at the moment is, I can't wait for the cards. And I've like got this timeline of like, well, I can't wait either, but I'm working on it. But this is, so I'm just going to release later today a few of the cards that, so people can either do the colouring ones or print them out, or even some instructions on how to make a couple for yourself. Because at some point this week, we were, before Thursday, when it's a full moon and the Kickstarter has that magic beauty and completion moment, but at some point there we will hit the target, and I'm calling this like the confetti moment. You know, that like, hey, we've done it. And I thought, so I'm going to encourage people to make their own cards, so we can all together go confetti and throw up all these cards. So I'll send you some through, Brenna, and I'll put the link on where people can get some of them to play with and see. Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, I'd love to.
You can join in the confetti moment. Way. And your room can look as chaotic and paper covered as mine.
Yeah, yes, please. So how can people support the Kickstarter? Where do they go?
Well, I will. My website is cultural-emergence.com, and on there you'll see the banner that takes you straight to the crowdfunder. That's probably the easier way. I'll put the direct link in the comments as well. But yeah, cultural-emergence.com is the main website, which will then direct you that way. But yeah, thanks everyone for supporting. It feels like there's really exciting co-creative process that it will kind of step into the unknown and trust the process. So yeah, but things are emerging. This is the principle of using emergence to support emergence. So like, this is, so many things are coming out this process that I know that there'll be another beautiful possibilities that come out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to spending a rainy day colouring in my downloaded card deck. Sounds so nice.
Yeah, lovely. Well, yeah, look forward. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we go? listeners, watchers?
I think just what I've really got out of this chat with you today, Looby, because we haven't spoken before, so it's just been really special for both of us, is like I feel really inspired. And that's part of the magic of what you bring to the world, to your teaching and to your books, to your arts, and now to this card deck, is this kind of freedom of expression. And there's color and there are shapes that are kind of universal and exciting for people, and even just having the visuals up there on the wall behind you is a really wonderful way to present. So yeah, I'm taking away that gift from our time together, and thank you so much for that. Often when you work in freelance artist, I'm just like slaving away all day. And for someone to unexpectedly give me a deep breath of inspiration out of the blue feels really nice. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, thank you, Brenna. Well, you've totally inspired me before this call as well, of just being out there and sharing your artwork with the world, which has definitely supported me to come into the light with mine. And then today of just talking with you and just that, like, remembering my purpose for doing this, and remembering how powerful visual art is for and for moving towards our visions. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching, and yeah, this will probably there'll be more Facebook lives over this coming week, so if you want to follow me and join in with any more Facebook lives as the week unfolds and we move to this beauty and completion confetti moment. I think that's what I'm calling it. I like this card at this beauty and completion. It's kind of like it's like all the pieces and then coming together as a whole, but maybe the confetti moment is like going the opposite way. It's like
It's great.
oh, thank you so much, Brenna.
Thanks, Luvie. It's been lovely.